We're back to Author's Corner in the Total Education Network. Again, TotalTutor.net for more information. Twitter, Total Tutor, Neil S. Haley, Facebook, LinkedIn, Neil Haley. And what I enjoy about authors, I get to learn so much from them. And even a short period of time, I'm a sponge, especially with areas that I just absolutely am terrible about. And this one is probably the biggest. If I have a flat tire, I'm calling AAA. And I don't like AAA, by the way. And if I have anything wrong, like, if I have to check to see if there's errors in the tires, I'm going to go get somebody else to check to see if I have enough air in my tires. So I really have had an issue with that. So I want to welcome the program, Pam Oakes. You're a National Automotive Authority, ASC certified technician, owner of Pam's Motor City, and also author of Car Care for the Clueless. Pam, thanks for calling.
Thanks for having me on.
So you have probably one of the biggest dummies in the world when it comes to technology and social media. Hey, I'm there. When it comes to trying to work my car or understand anything about my car, you probably see that there are a lot of clueless people out there that don't know anything about cars, right?
Well, everybody has their fortes. We have plumbers, we have electricians, we have book authors, we have review authors such as yourself, and we have technicians. So I just happen to fall into the technician category, which I think was very wise because you were savvy enough to know that if you didn't think that you knew the exact procedure, for an example, to change your flat, that you relied upon your road service. And that's the first step. That's the whole premise behind Car Care for the Clueless, not how to fix your car, but how to have your car repaired properly by an ASC certified technician at an ASC Blue Seal shop or dealership.
I think that's so key in so many ways is you allow certain people. Definitely my expertise, if I'm going to tutor my daughter because I'm a certified educator in math or whatever subject, but if it comes to something like teaching piano, I'm not going to go say, I'm going to try to learn piano and teach her. I'm going to go get the best person possible. If it's coming to fixing my house and I have a leaky faucet, I'm not going to be Mr. Handyman that goes and tries to do it to save money. I'm going to bring in somebody who has the ability to do it. That's where I look at things. If I don't have a skill set, I bring someone in to do that. And that's what a lot of times happens to people that don't take care of their cars. They think they can fix it themselves, Pam, and what happens?
What happens, you get towed in and I fix it for you. And we don't want that, do we? Because that's added tow bill, and added repair time, labor time that the technician's going to take to figure out what you were doing and to put everything back to the way that it really belongs. And then you get to the point where you actually have to diagnose the problem. And that's all money out of your wallet, and we don't want that.
So if you diagnose the problem early, Pam, then you're not going to run into getting towed. So, for example, you really aren't good at checking oil. You always can take it to a full-service dealer or somebody to take a look at it. They'll be happy to do it because they would want your business sometimes. So instead of saying, well, I don't think I really have an oil leak, and keep driving, then your car shuts down. So those are the types of no-brainer things that someone that doesn't know about cars to really look at the experts for the help they need.
Exactly. I come across that quite often. People, they try to push it past its mechanical limits. And, I'm sorry, they make them very well nowadays compared to yesteryear. But they still have mechanical limits. And I always recommend, and I preach this anytime I talk, is that you always have an established shop that you go to. People that they know your car, they know what repairs have been performed on that car. And then once a month, you go in and you have them top the air pressure off in the tires and have them top the fluid levels off. And you have this professional set of eyes looking underneath that hood. And each vehicle has its little idiosyncrasies, and your ASD certified tech is going to know because they are properly trained and they are familiar with your make and model. And they see something brewing, well, you know what? You can fix it for pennies versus hundreds, if not thousands of dollars if you let it go and you come in on a tow truck.
So, Pam, part of your book is looking at specific areas that always happen to people in cars and what they should have done to maintain them instead of waiting, correct?
Exactly.
Let's go with one that I saw from reading some of the stuff about what types of gasoline to put in your car. That's a surprise, isn't it? What people should put and what they do.
It's funny because just before we we talked here, I just gave this speech to one of my newer customers, and they have a V8 32-valve engine, and it came up with a couple of codes, and these codes wouldn't have even occurred if they were using the proper fuel. And I talk about using the proper octane. You know, some use the regular, the 80, 87, and in his case, he uses the 92. It's asking for premium for this particular high-performance engine. And people don't adhere to that, and then they get themselves in a pickle, like this one gentleman who just came down for the winter, and we had to re-educate him. I gave him the new list, and it's for top-tier fuel. And a lot of people say, well, what's that? It has nothing to do with octane, guys. Top-tier fuel is the formula of fuel that you put in your tank. Approximately 12 years ago, we had 6 automobile manufacturers, Honda, Toyota, GM, VW, Audi, and BMW. They all got together and said, hey, guys, this is what we need in our fuel to have the least amount of emissions, the best MPG, and the least amount of carbon in our engines. Who can help us out? And a handful of petroleum companies complied, and now they are deemed top tier. Again, it has nothing to do with the octane. It's the actual brand. And this stuff works. Trust me. We did an experiment with one of the cars here at the shop a while back, and we just had them use what I call junk food gas, and that's gasoline not considered top tier. And they were getting about 19 miles per gallon. And then we swapped over to top tier fuel, one of the top tier on the list. And he boosted up to almost 23 miles per gallon. So per fill-up, he's spending an extra $1.60 per tank per fill-up. But he is going so much longer, so much farther on a tank of gas.
See, that's interesting, Pam, because again, I have a Volkswagen Jetta, and then I was told, you can put regular in. Why
Right.
do you think this happens? Only certain cars, so don't think everyone should fill up premium, right? You're only talking about... Yeah.
That's incorrect, yes. But see, on your Jetta, if you look in your book, it will tell you to use a top-tier fuel. And again, it's not the octane, it's the brand, the quality of fuel. It's the one that has all the additives in it. And you'll see advertisements here and there, and you'll go into these big box warehouse stores, and they'll say, hey, we have all these new additives in our fuel. Don't be fooled. If it doesn't say top tier, it's not.
So that's not premium then. So
Exactly.
what types of gas stations do you recommend to go to?
Well, on the top tier list, for an example, people are familiar with like Shell and Chevron, Union 76, Texaco. Those are a few of the companies that have been deemed top tier. And in your case, you just use the 87 regular, but you go to one of those fuel facilities that's top tier. And like I said, and yours is a VW, and VW was one of the creators of it. You go, according to your manual, and just put the 87 octane in there to a top tier gas station.
I'm amazed. Again, you see that's why I interview authors, Pam. It's not because again I want to be like, I want to learn from them. It's just so interesting. Again, we're talking to Pam Oakes, and author of Car Care for the Clueless, and she's talking to one of the most clueless people in the world. That here's one of the big things, Pam, going on that's taking a lot of those top tier distributors out of business, thanks to these fuel perks. And I don't know if you want to speak to this, but they don't get the best fuel, do they? The ones that are giving you this discount in fuel if you buy a certain amount of groceries. Most of the time, it's not the best fuel, is it?
Exactly. They buy it in bulk, just like all of them do. The difference is, may come from the same refinery, but the difference is those top-tier facilities have the detergent, have the additives. That's going to make you go farther on a tank of gas. And, if you do the math, it's not like you can go into the attendant and say, hey, this is my free tank of gas here. It's, gas tank number 8. But if you do the math on paper, you will get a free tank of gas. So think of all those premiums of, you buy so much food and you get so much in fuel. Well, guess what? If you buy the top tier and you just do what you're supposed to do, on paper, you're going to get a free tank of gas if you do the math.
I'm going to tweet out Giant Eagle when I do this, Pam. No knock on, just to say, oh, you know what? You listen out, folks, especially that think they're buying their groceries to get a better deal. They're not. And you need to listen to people like Pam, especially. And I know you also have a radio show I want you to promote at the end of the show as well, because I think that there's so many questions I could have. And I definitely would like to have you back on a quarterly basis to come back to specific topics, because I want to learn. I sure as heck do, because I have questions. Let me throw one more at you, but it's got to be a quick 2-minute answer.
Sure.
Now what we're seeing a lot of times are these warning signs that come from your car now based on like low tire. And then you go and you check your tires and it's not happening. How, especially when it's cold, you see how those gauges go off kilter. How much should we trust them? When we see, the best thing is to go and check your tires, right? Even if you don't
Correct.
think, because you know that the newer systems are not 100% correct, right?
Well, yes, they are if they're in proper operating mode. You were talking about what they call low pressure lights, called TPMS. It's tire pressure monitoring system, and they have a little RF signal there that goes to the computer, so it can tell you how much air pressure is in each tire. It could be a case of one of those little sensors going bad because the battery is finally drained out of it. It's got a little battery in there, like a hearing aid battery, but you can't replace it. They make you, of course, replace the entire little monitor, little thing per wheel. Another thing people don't realize, that if some of the spare tires, they will have a TPMS monitor in there, and if those tire pressures are not topped off, you could just be chasing your tail, because if you don't check the spare, it's not going to recalculate. But I think it's a good deal.
Okay, so that's where someone like myself doesn't say, it's just because of the cold. Get it checked out. And if you can't check your tires, or you're not very comfortable putting air in your tires, you could Google full service stations and they'll take care of it for you, right?
That's correct.
And the sad thing is, Pam, there are not many full services. So I'm going to go and Google that today and say, Pam told me so, and I'll make sure maybe there's one near me. And that's with thanks to GPSs and stuff. You never know if you can find that. So very, very informative information, Pam. 2 things: how we can purchase your book, but also how we can listen to your radio show as well. 2 different things. And find information on you. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, you can go on our website, carcarefortheclueless.com. It's one word, all spelled out, carcarefortheclueless.com. We have an interactive forum on there. We have a free car care guide. We have a free hurricane/severe storm guide. And, of course, for all those nasty blizzards that are just going through like a freight train through our United States this past winter, we have a blizzard guide, and it has a list of items that you should have in your car that you can find around your house. You don't have to purchase it, but around the house, to keep you safe if you ever get stuck. And as for our radio show, we are on Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific time, downtown Sherman Oaks at LA Talk Radio. We're on a terrestrial station as well with that. And it's all about making you a savvy car care consumer.
All right. Well, thanks for calling the program, Pam. We'll definitely have you back on in a couple months to give us some updates, especially when it gets warmer out and it's time to take the car out and have those long trips, those jaunts, especially with summer, and how to be prepared for them. So thanks again for calling, Pam.
And thank you.
All right. Take care. Okay. Bye-bye. You're listening to Author's Corner, and we'll be back in just a moment.